Hello guys, Roller here. Today I'm gonna talk about champion points in PvP, especially the red tree and how to properly distribute your defensive CP. So let's get started. First I wanna show you that currently I don't have any CP put in my trees because I wanna show you the mitigations before and after CP. First I wanna discuss the magical races, not the magical races, the magical setups. Many white armor users put a lot of points into Bastion, thinking that they will get the most of their shields when putting, for example, 66 points here. But but the thing is that shields, they have zero resistances, but they benefit from major and minor protection buffs, and also they benefit from defensive CPs like Aranquat and thick-skinned Elemental Defender and Hardy. And this is why it's better if you put a lot less points here. For example, you put only 40 points here for 16% increase of the shield strength, and distribute most of your other points into mitigation CPs like Aranquat and thick-skinned, because those two CPs have the best scaling value in the defensive tree. Of course, this is after the expand defender, but the expand defender is reducing damage only from white and heavy attacks. This is why we put only 6 points here, because we get 4% with only 6 points. And the rest points we can distribute into Hardy and Elemental Defender as a Magicka setup. Of course, this is about white armor setup. If you are heavy armor setup, you would want to take these points from Bastion and put it into either the quick recovery or further put more points into Hardy and Elemental Defender. Depends on your preference. So you can also, if you are feeling that you lack of crit resistances, you can lower some of these points to 66. This is 22%, and put the points into resistant. Of course, as a PvPer, you will need, not you would want, you will need to run all impen gear. Don't bother with running well fitted unless you are medium armor stunblade. It just does not worth the sacrifice of having crit resistances against reducing in row dodging and sprint. So this right here is a typical setup for heavy armor build, with points into quick recovery, with 27 into Hardened Elemental Defender, 56 into thick-skinned, 66 into Aranquat, and 31 into resistant. So this is for heavy armor. Let's come back to the white armor user that you are using shields. So now I will show you that the damage this wisp will do to my shield exactly, before the champion points. So 2k and 74. Now let's put some points into Ironclad. Okay, 28 is enough for now. And you see my shield is having now 12% mitigation with the Ironclad. This is applying not only to this shield but all of my shields. If I have bone shield, if I am white armor user, I use Hornet's Magicka, or I am a Sork, I use my Hardened Ward. So this is why it's very important to put champion points into the reduction trees instead of just stacking into Bastion. So let's put further points into Hardy and into Elemental Defender. Now let's see. As you see, his damage is reduced even further. My boots pound procced, but he's still keeping the same damage because the shields are having 0 resistances. So now let's again get out of combat. And I wanna check if I have the pirate skeleton in me. Sadly I don't have it. I was wanting. Okay, but you know what? I think I have the Fighter's Guild skill. Yes, that gives us minor protection. So I will slot it. And you see. So now look at the damage. Okay, this is with the minor protection. If you use a pirate skeleton, you have major protection, which will reduce the damage even further. So bear in mind that class like Warden that have minor protection built into their class skills is very powerful when using white armor shields, because the shield itself will be a lot stronger, and also the Warden have built-in major protection with his ultimate, but it's fairly expensive, 200 ultimate. But when he stacks his minor and major protection and stack shield on top of it, he gets really tanky for 8 seconds, and literally he can tank in white armor in PvP. Now let's talk about the champion point scaling. As you see, with 28 points here into Ironclad, we have 12% mitigation, and with 27 points here, we have only 7% mitigation. So let's explain the Ironclad. The Ironclad is literally 2 times better than those two, because it scales better and it reduces the both type of damages, physical and magical. And these two things here, they reduce either physical or magical, with of course the other sub-element damages, flame, frost shock, and poison and disease damage. So Ironclad damage reduction applies to skills like 90% of the skills in PvP, like the in-cap strike, surprise attack, light and heavy attacks, downbreakers, dragon leaps, raking balls, force pulses, hunting curse, and other fucking shits that will wreck you if you don't put points in here, because they're all counting as direct damage attacks. Even the initial damage of the poison injection is counted as direct damage. So this is why look, with every 3 points here we get a percent of mitigation. That's until 40 points we get 16% mitigation, and now I think there we need to go with 4 points for 1%. So the minimum, not the optimal, points that you need to put here is 56 for 20% of mitigation from direct damage attacks. If you don't put that many points here, you are basically non-competitive in PvP because you take a lot damage. So 56 points here gives us 20% of mitigation. Let's see if we keep investing into hard. As you see, we are now at 7%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5 points to get 1% of more mitigation, which is honestly it's ridiculous, because with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 5 points we get also 1% of mitigation here, but this mitigation applies to the both type of damages, and this one is applying only to physical poison and disease. And this is why you really don't want to invest more than 27 points here, and just keep stack points into Ironclad and into Thick-Skinned. So the best in my opinion is to have 66 points here and at least 40 points into Thick-Skinned, because Thick-Skinned is also applying to the both type of damages, physical and magical. And the good thing about Thick-Skinned that it is also scaling very well with the champion points. With 40 points we get 16% of mitigation, and you will need Thick-Skinned especially if you are medium armor or white armor user, because as for example medium armor stun blade, you are squishy, and skills like soul assault and radiant destruction in execute phase will really hurt you unless you don't invest good amount of points here. So as a medium armor you would want 56 points here. As a heavy armor user you would want at least 40 points here. So with that said, let's talk about the expert defender and quick recovery. A lot of people don't put points into expert defender, which is really not right, because this is the best scaling mitigation tree in the game. Look, with only 3 points we have 2% mitigation from white and heavy attacks, and in PvP if you are facing a skilled player, he will constantly be applying white attack animation cancelling or heavy attack, and if you are gank from a night blade, you will be typically the night blades are opening their combo with a heavy attack from bow or from melee weapon. So having points here will greatly reduce the damage from gangers. I normally put 6, 9 or 14 points here. With 14 points we get 9% of mitigation from white and heavy attacks. And of course, if you are a heavy armor user, put 27 here for 7% increased healing, which will apply to the healing that others are dealing to you and your own healing. And the rest of the points you can put into resistant. So you have with full impen gear you will have around 2.7k crit resistances, which is fairly high. Of course, some people like me like to have above 3k critical resistances, and this is why I would suggest to lower some of the points here. And I usually, as heavier, unless I am pure tank, I don't run points into quick recovery. So let's put those out and put out into the resistant. So with 55 points here and full impact gear, you will be exactly at the soft cap of the crit resist, which is 3.3k. So which is equal to 50% of critical damage mitigation. Now you can stack more points here, or you can have set like transmutation or impregnable, which will increase your critical resistance even further, but you will face not diminishing returns, but it will be very situational, because people that don't invest much points into critical damage, you won't benefit against them. You will benefit, this mitigation will benefit again against high critical damage builds like Nightblades and Magpors, because they stack a lot of points into into precise strikes and into airborne. So if you wanna be effective against high crit builds, you can stack more than 3.3k into critical resistances, but I think it is overkill, and if it's best if you have more mitigation overall than if you have high crit resistances, because the thing is, I have some of my tanks, one have 5k crit resistances and the other one have only 2k, but the mitigation is a lot higher on my tank with the 2k crit resistances, and this is why he takes a lot less damage in general and slightly higher damage from criticals. But if you reduce the damage before the critical strike applies, you will also reduce the damage of the critical strike itself, because the flat value will be lower, and this is why it's good to have high mitigation instead of just high critical resistances. With that said, I think we covered the most part, the most important part of the defensive champion points, and I want to talk about some other ways of mitigate damage. So no matter if you are light, medium or heavy armor user, this set right here will be your best friend in terms of survivability and offensiveness, because if you are more tanky, you can be more offensive at the same time, and this set gives you pretty nice mitigation. 6k resistances, this is like 10% of mitigation, completely free, and great ultigen, 40 ultimate regeneration in 6 seconds. So boot spawn is really the best set in the game, the best two-piece monster set in the game for PvP, and this is why a lot of people are using it. So use it if you feel squishy and you need more tankiness. Another great set is the Pirate Skeleton, but this set is situational. It's good for white armor users because it boosts their survivability by a lot, and it's not so good for medium armor users because you get the minor defile, and as a medium armor user you don't get the increased healing from heavy armor, passive, which is that right here. increase your healing receive by 8%, and this will uh, make your healing a lot less effective. So bear in mind that Pirate Skeleton is not for all setups. It's primarily for light armor users and occasionally for heavy armor users. I like to use it on my PvP tanks, but honestly I think boot spawn is fairly outperforming the the pirate in some cases, especially if you're using a decay, because the Mitigation is just the core of the sustain of the Dragon Knight. So as a medium armor user or heavy armor user, you would want to also take a look at the troking. This is especially good for group play and decent in solo play. The 1500 health recovery is really strong, especially if you are race like Orc, Nord or Khajiit, and if you are Nightblade class or Stormsork, you have even further increase into your health recovery. So like I said, this is very strong set with fully buffed up stats. You get around 3k 2.5 to 3k health recovery from this set, which is just so strong. Sadly, now this set is affected by minor and major defile, so that means that Nightblades are really pain in the ass, no matter if you have troking, because they will just cut your health recovery in half, basically. So as I said, unless you are a Stunblade, don't run well-fitted trait. You need Impen, and this is it. Impen is the best trait for PvP. Unless you are running medium armor, a Stunblade, or you have the impregnable armor. I wanna check if I have. I don't think I have on this character. I have. So the gold impreg will give us 2.5k crit resistance. Unless you have impregnable in your build, you don't wanna run other traits but impenetrable. So, but if you use impreg, your crit resist will be fairly high, and you can afford to run, for example, reinforced chest and well fitted or sturdy on the other parts, so you can have more tankiness and agility. This is it, guys. This was what I wanted to discuss, and I hope you get what I'm saying and start to adjust your build properly for PvP. I won't talk about the green and the blue tree in this video, but I may make a setup video, not setup video, I make a guide video for these trees in the future. But right now I'll just keep with the red tree because it's the most important for PvP. This is it, guys. I hope you liked the video. So bye bye.